This video contains content that may disturb you and challenge your perception of reality. Ensure you're in a safe space before you continue. Hello, and welcome Charlie Ghostlight. I'm Charlie. Tonight's footage will make you question what's real, what's edited, and what should have never been recorded in the first place. So lean in, turn up the volume. But don't forget, once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Let's begin.
What this girl did to herself will make you feel physically sick. This is one of the most shocking cases of psychosis I've ever heard. On February the 6th, 2018, Kaylee Muthart was using substances. She was high on M after a 48-hour binge. She ended up stumbling down the road next to a railway track. In her substance-induced state, she believed that she needed to save the world, and in order to do so, she needed to make a sacrifice. Horrifically, she believed that she needed to scrape her eyeballs out of her head or everybody would die. So that's exactly what she did. With her bare hands, she removed her own eyeballs. She then squashed them into her hands while a passerby struggled to restrain her. She was airlifted to hospital in South Carolina. She is now obviously completely blind, but thankfully is sober. She's a mother to a toddler and she wants to help people through them hearing her story.
I can't believe this.
I'm about to show you one of the most terrifying photographs you've ever. So if you're easily frightened, do not watch this. A friend of mine lives in Chicago and she and her husband thought that they had a family of raccoons living in their attic because they kept hearing all of these sounds upstairs above their bedroom. So they continued calling their landlord, kept reporting it, kept saying, hey, we've got an infestation of rodents or raccoons or something in our attic and you guys need to come and get it taken care of. The landlord kept putting them off and kept saying, you know, we're really busy. We can't get there. So the sounds would come and go. Sometimes it would be quiet up there. Sometimes it would be really loud. One day my friend is home alone. Her husband's out of town and the sounds are particularly bad, worse than they've ever been before. And she's sitting there and she's like, what is going on? Like what could like there must be a million raccoons up in my attic. And so she decides to pull the access stairs down from the ceiling and she's too frightened to go all the way up into the attic because the light that's up there is a cord light and it's a little ways. So she doesn't want to go into the attic, thinking it might be unsafe. So she just crawls up 4 or 5 stairs and just sticks her arm up into the attic and just snaps a photograph. She pulls her phone down to see what's actually living there. Warning. This is what is on her phone screen, staring back at her. He was 7 feet away from her when she took this picture. And mind you, she was home alone. So, yeah. She called the police. She reported it. The police came. They found him. They also found a bunch of, you can't really see it, but right here, there's like a pile of her husband's clothes. He had been going into their house while they were out and taking things, personal effects, articles of clothing, toiletry items. So he had been there for a while.
I'm never sleeping again.
They were just playing when this happened. These students were trying to summon Hanakosan, a Japanese urban legend about a girl who expired herself in her school bathroom. The way you summon her is by knocking on the 3rd stall of the girl's bathroom on the 3rd floor of the school. Then ask, "Are you there?" So, that's what they did. But nothing happened until they started to leave. When they peeked inside the stall, a pale girl was standing there staring at them. Now, this is most likely just the kids having fun and making a scary video of their own, but the urban legend itself is still pretty disturbing.
I got chills. Wow.
She found a human head inside her son's closet.
Parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
On February 2021, Brian Cohey would commit a horrible crime. He would take the life of 69-year-old Warren Barnes that was peacefully sleeping under a bridge. His body was sadly dismembered. Brian attempted to hide what he had done, so he loaded the body into his truck and tried to drive it into the river. However, he decided to keep the hands and head. On the day his mother discovered the body, she said she was cleaning up his room. She then noticed a plastic bag, and when she lifted it up, it was super heavy and it had maggots. She then took it to the sink, opened it, and that's where she made the horrible discovery. She immediately called her husband. They dialed 911 to report the incident. Brian was taken into custody and confessed that he was planning this for 6 months. His mother told police that Brian had a fascination with serial killers. He said that on the night of February 27th, he decided to drive around and find somebody. And sadly, an innocent homeless man was the victim. He was even laughing in the interrogation, describing what he had done to the poor man. He pleaded insanity, but they still imprisoned him without the possibility of parole. What are your thoughts about this case?
Unthinkable crime, so dark.
We need to talk about this photo. This photo was discovered by a single mother who recently bought a new phone. She came home, placed her phone on the table, and started watching TV. But soon after that, her son found the phone and asked to play with it. She agreed, thinking nothing unusual was gonna happen. But around 11 p.m. that same night, the mother decided it was time to go to bed. Strangely though, she found her son already in bed, which was very unusual for him. Normally, he'd want to stay up a lot longer. That's when she noticed her new phone was still in her son's hands. So she took it from him and unlocked the phone. At first, only seeing some minor changes. He changed the background on her phone and took a few pictures around the house, nothing too alarming. But since the photos seemed random, she started deleting them. Until she saw something that shocked her. This was the last photo on her camera roll, showing her son sleeping, but the photo was taken by someone else above him. Follow for more stories.
Can some cameras pick up on the paranormal? Back in the late 1800s, an inventor named Frank Lumare claimed that he had invented a camera that could see into a realm that humans could not. And what he saw, people at the time were just not ready for. And before we dive in, if you love spooky stories, you'll love the podcast. To prove it, he had set up a booth at the Chicago World's Fair where he took some of these portraits. The crazy thing about that day was that most of the portraits Frank had taken came out completely normal, but there were a few portraits of young girls that came out severely distorted. Frank was accused of all sorts of things, of being a con man, of being a witch, and then eventually he disappeared in 1908 along with his camera. History largely forgot about Frank and his camera, but recently a historian noticed that all 4 women who were photographed like this that day died before their 25th birthday. It's unclear if the camera had anything to do with it, or if the camera could see something that we just couldn't.
This feels cursed.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
When I tell this story to this day, people do not believe me. When I was a freshman in college, I was going to a private school in Pittsburgh. I was leaving the next year. I was going to a different school. So my friends and I, some of us were leaving, some of us were moving, whatever. We decided we wanted to kind of hit all the different spots in Pittsburgh that we really liked. So we went to like Mount Washington. For those of you who don't know, it's like a really nice lookout over Pittsburgh. And there was a place near our school and it was called the Fountain of Youth. It was essentially just like a well that people in the town used to go to when it was in use. So we went there. It was nighttime. It wasn't like midnight. It was like 9 or so. It wasn't super late. We went there, and the way that this well was set up, it was like carved. There was a piece carved out of a rock formation, and then you'd walk in and then get water out of the well inside of it. So the people who were like shorter or smaller, they went inside, and like I'm tall, so I wasn't gonna like go in there, but other girls were going inside and just like checking it out and seeing what it looked like. And the rest of us were standing outside, taking pictures, just like messing around, waiting, hanging out, you know, talking. The girls inside, one of them said, "Hey, I can kind of hear like rocks moving around in here. It sounds like there's something else in here." And we were all like, "Oh, okay, well, that's probably an animal, so just like come out." So as she's like leaving and coming out and saying like, "I can hear something in here," the girls who are outside, me specifically, my phone died. Turned off completely. It was at 70-80%. It was not anywhere close to dying. Turned off, died. Other girls' phones started dying. Then we heard a growl, and it did not sound like an animal. It sounded more like a human being trying to mimic what an animal sounds like when they growl. And we found this out later, that the girls inside the cave heard the same exact thing coming from inside the cave. We heard it outside in the woods. We all run and book it to the car. We get back. We're all like, we're done. That's it. Whatever. I'm going to take a shower. I'm changing and I see in the mirror handprints on my shoulder. Like someone just grabbed it like that and left those prints. I tell everybody, check yourselves because I just found this on myself. The one girl who was in the well lifts up her shirt. I look, she has 3 scratch marks down her back. I was like, nope, we're done. I started praying. I said, if there's something attached to us, get it away from us. I want no part of that. And that was it.
Phones dying is creepy.
This TikToker died while filming a TikTok. Her name was Arina Glosanova, a 24-year-old content creator from Moscow, Russia. Her videos were full of energy, joy, and a love for life. She danced, smiled, and brought light to thousands of followers. But on September 27, 2024, while visiting Tbilisi, Georgia, that light was suddenly extinguished. That night, Arina and a friend were exploring the streets, filming TikToks, just enjoying the moment. They had already posted one video, laughing, dancing through the city. And just 15 minutes later, Arina hit record on another TikTok. This time she was dancing to a Russian song called For the Last Time. And here's where everything went wrong. In the video she's smiling, carefree, completely in the moment. But then it happens. Right behind her was an underground stairwell, steep, hidden, and deadly. Arina fell headfirst, her neck snapped on impact, and she suffered massive head injuries. Bystanders rushed in, paramedics were called, but guys, the damage was already done. She was pronounced dead at the hospital.
So young, so tragic. Rest in peace. Okay, now look at this clip I found.
As you can see on CCTV footage, you see her holding a drink. She's at a bar. She went to a bar with one of her friends. She's wearing a crop shirt, black pants, and some white and black shoes. Here's a better image of her on that night. As Mia was with her friends, they was hopping from bar to bar, drinking, having a good time, eating here and there, dancing. The night was going really good. You know, the night was still young for them. I think she had more than one friend with her, but I'm not sure. But I knew for a fact, digging deep into this case, that she had friends with her that night at the bar. The map that you're currently looking at is the bar that she decides to go to last. Her and her friends decided to party until 6 a.m. because 6 a.m. is when the bar closes. Now, in the beginning of this video, I was showing this CCTV footage slow. You couldn't really tell how she was walking, but now if I speed it up to normal, you can clearly tell that she's a little bit of drunk, maybe a lot of drunk. We don't know for sure, but she's able to control herself. She's drunk. Now, I don't know how y'all gonna feel about this. Maybe you're gonna get mad, maybe you're not, because you probably do this with your friends. But at the end, when it was 6 a.m., the girls that she was with, okay, it happened to be more than one girl that she was with. The girls that she was with decided to go their separate ways. They split up. It was time to go home. They don't live together. And you might be thinking, well, Ross, girls should not be walking alone like that. Here in Denmark, actually the crime rate is very low.
Probably 99% of the people watching this video have seen this famous photo, but I would be willing to bet most people don't know the backstory. This is a very simple photo that went super viral back in 2014. It shows a woman hiding underneath this awning on her roof, and this man with his head popped up over, presumably looking for her. Now this happened in LA, and the woman right here is this one, Melora Rivera. She was known for a small role in a Whitney Houston movie back in 2012. And the person that broke into her house was Christian Hicks, a 29-year-old. He was a transient, essentially homeless. Melora said that as soon as she noticed him in her house, she made a beeline up to the roof in order to avoid being in there with him at the exact same time. It's unclear as to exactly why Christian broke into her house in the first place, but police were called, dispatched very quickly, and Melora was able to climb down a ladder while Christian, of course, got arrested. You can see that it does appear to be a little bit more of a laid-back situation than the original photo would suggest. Still, though, it would be absolutely terrifying. Thankfully, Melora was fine after this.
So scary, yet lucky.
It's a weird one, so bear with me. But this picture of Sofia Vergara, seemingly normal, right? I think she's on America's Got Talent as a judge or whatever she does. On March 16th, I screenshot this from my phone. You can look at it on her Instagram. But what is that? That's not motion blur. I'm an editor. That's not motion blur. She looks a little weird, but whatever. We can look it over. But wait, it gets weirder. What is wrong with them? All these people right here. What is happening? Her. Why doesn't she have an eye? And if this is AI, why? Why would it be?
AI, or something darker.
You want to hear a scary story? Please. Dyatlov Pass. In 1959, these 9 hikers from Russia went on a hiking expedition through the Siberian wilderness. Anytime they could, they would write a letter back home and stuff. And then one day, letter stopped coming in, so they went out there. When they came to the site, the tent had been cut open from the inside out. They went out and they're like, where are these people? They followed these foot tracks, and then they saw one dude on the ground who had 3rd-degree burn marks on his legs, was like missing half of his sweater. Another dude that was up in a tree who had bitten off part of his hand that was also slightly undressed as well. And some of them were completely undressed, and 2 of them, when they tested them, they had sparks of radiation on them. What? There's just all kinds of theories. And like, they were like super far away from their campsite, or actually not that far away from their campsite. They all died of hypothermia, basically. But the conditions of what they were left in, it's like, what the heck happened to them?
Dude. I think I've heard this too. Wasn't there like a couple people whose faces were all like ripped up?
So many unanswered questions.
Hey, I can't be the only one. Who else knows people that have killed other people?
Finally, something that I can actually relate to. So my grandma killed her mom, so she killed my great-grandma. It's kind of a crazy story, but back in the 90s, my grandma was over at her house giving her a bath. She was elderly, so my grandma was kind of in charge of taking care of her. During the bath, my grandma brought up the past about how she was abused as a child by one of her stepdads, and her mom then basically admitted to knowing about the abuse, but blamed her for it instead of the stepdad, which sent my grandma into a rage. She ended up drowning my great-grandma, and then after she was dead, instead of calling the police, she cut up her body into 8 different pieces, put them in garbage cans, filled the cans with cement, and then put these garbage cans in different storage units all throughout my hometown where I grew up. When the police were investigating, she lied and said my great-grandma was in Hawaii with this wealthy man she met, and even faked letters from her. It's pretty crazy.
Strange.
Just think about it for a second. You're sleeping soundly, or not, and you wake up out of nowhere. You look at your phone. It's around 3 in the morning. You try to go back to sleep, but you can't. And you just can't shake off this feeling that you're being watched. Right? My grandma always told me, whenever you wake up in the middle of the night, especially around 3 in the morning, and you can't go back to sleep, and you feel like you're being watched, God woke you up for a reason. God wanted you up. Because more than likely, you are being watched. Just not by something that you can see.
3 a.m. hits. Different.
This man murdered his wife with a chainsaw, left her decapitated body in the street, and escaped America. And to this day, he's never been caught. On April 26, 2010, the police department in Lewisville, Texas received a chilling call. A mailman had called in and was frantic, and he told the dispatcher that he had just found a decapitated corpse of a woman lying in the middle of the street. The victim was Maria Corona, and just before she had been killed, she had been on the phone with one of her best friends. Allegedly, she told her friend that her husband, Jose, was out in the yard making noise with some lawn equipment. She then went outside to check on what Jose was doing, and that's when he began to attack her. Maria's husband, Jose, had been planning this murder for a while. He had prepped the chainsaws the night before, gotten all of his getaway supplies ready, so when his wife walked out of the door that morning, he was ready to kill. According to the police, Jose at the time believed that his wife had been cheating on him. So, according to authorities, he contacted a local witch doctor, or a curandera. According to authorities, this woman gave Jose little vials of perfume and herbs to place around the house to ward off bad spirits, but it's believed that this woman, who's never been identified, may have instructed Jose to kill his wife. After killing his wife and leaving her body in the street, Jose escaped in a vehicle. He then parked the vehicle at a Walmart where another unidentified person picked him up in a pickup, That pickup then brought Jose to an auto dealership. He told someone he wanted to take a car on a test drive, and then he ended up stealing the car. And he eventually crossed the border into Mexico and disappeared. To this day, this is an interesting case because this is considered a solved murder. They obviously know who did it, but Jose has completely vanished. Nobody has seen or heard from him since this event, and it is believed that he is still on the run, living his life somewhere, only God knows where. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast that I co-host with my wife, Courtney, Murder in America, available on all streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Evil on another level.
I am telling you, doing night security, it's gotta be one of the scariest jobs. Okay, so this photo right here, this was captured by Michael Hostin on the 3rd floor bathroom of a Dallas shopping mall. The reason he took it was because he's night security and he heard noises coming from this bathroom, but he was nervous to check the actual stalls, so he sends a picture to his coworker. After he sent the picture, he eventually leaves the bathroom, but then gets a text where his coworker says, "Keep your weapon drawn and call for backup." He had no idea what he was talking about until he increased the brightness of this picture. It's not easy to see in the dark, but with the photo enhanced and slightly brightened, you can see somebody peeking over the top of that middle stall. Someone was in there, looking directly at him as he searched the bathroom. But even with a visual, by the time backup eventually came, whoever this was, they were gone, and we were left with this picture.
That's nightmare fuel, bro.
She was hearing this in her basement. Her lights would flicker, and strange feelings of dread would pass through her body. Since she has a newborn baby, she set up security cameras. And on night number 1, she captured this. It could be a glitch in the camera, but she is intrigued, so she moves the camera to the left to face directly down into her basement. And then they went to sleep. Here is the security camera feed. All those noises she has been hearing are not in her head. Something is watching her, and something is watching you.
That's not a glitch.
You should swallow one piece of gum every 7 years. Okay, so we all know we live in a big simulation, right? Everything around us is computer generated, right? That there's one thing that isn't part of the simulation. That's gum. Gum is weird. You chew it. You could just chew forever. That's because gum comes from outside of the simulation. Gum is real. Okay, so you also know if you swallow gum, it stays in your system for 7 years. And every cell in your body changes every 7 years, right? And the 7-year itch, you change personalities every 7 years. That's because every 7 years, they come from the outside, and they take you away and put a whole new you in there, and they can change you any way they want. But if you swallow the gum, then they can't, because the gum locks you in place, because the gum is real. Gum is their weakness. Swallow one piece every 7 years. Any more than that, you might get a stomach ache.
Scariest conspiracy theories in the world that will seriously change your life. Today, this is mad. I don't like this. If you've got surgery coming up or you know anyone that's going into surgery, don't watch this. I mean it. It wasn't until 2020 when doctors actually realised how anesthesia worked. Knew it worked when they were putting you to sleep, but they didn't know the complications and the side effects or whatever, which is mad to think. This led people to have a lot of theories, and this is the main one. Theory is you get put to sleep, but during the surgery, you're actually fully conscious, like anesthesia awareness, which you've probably heard of, where you wake up during surgery and feel everything. So what if, in surgery, you feel everything, you hear everything, but you're basically paralysed so you can't move or speak? But the drug that's in it actually makes you forget when you wake up. So during the surgery, you feel everything, but as soon as you wake up, you forget it ever happened. It would make sense, and it's terrifying.
This theory is horrifying.
Okay, I might be reaching, but what's going on here on Etsy? Why are these children's paintings so high? And why is there multiple of them, including one labeled pizza oil painting? Not to mention AI-generated pictures of kids eating wings and pizza, going for around 3 to 4K, and even pictures of pizza for 3K. And there's this one labeled coming soon for 51K, and the person's name is Earth's Dark Author. I'm not saying anything is going on here, but let me know what y'all think is going on here.
Something feels really off.
Have you heard the disturbing theory about Harry Potter? If you love these movies, turn this video off because you won't like this. So we all know the story of Harry Potter, the boy who lived under the stairs, moved to Hogwarts and became a wizard. But what if I told you Harry never actually left the cupboard? So the theory is that Harry imagined everything and his only friend was a pet spider that he talked to. Harry is that starved and dehydrated by his abusive aunt and uncle, and that the whole world of becoming a wizard is just his imagination. Do you believe this creepy theory?
Chills. Poor Harry.
Do some scientific research and you'll discover that the idea that the Earth is like billions of years old is totally impossible, and the theory of evolution is not backed up by any scientific science whatsoever. The more you look into it, the more you realize that the King James Bible is 100% true, and according to the King James Bible, the Earth was created 6,000 years ago. Adam and Eve were the first humans, and they were created, and Satan is now trying to destroy every descendant of Adam and Eve. He will therefore have wiped out mankind, and that's what this transhumanism crap is about. Because when we start taking on elements of machines, we are no longer human, and Satan's done his job. He's wiped out all of Adam and Eve's descendants.
Science versus faith clash again.
What if I told you some of your favorite celebrities might not be themselves anymore? There is a terrifying theory about human cloning centers, which are allegedly hidden underground labs that people are creating politicians, celebrities, just anyone. It's said these labs are run by secret organizations. Now, a couple celebrities do come to mind when I think about this. I know it's been speculated that Avril Lavigne was a clone. Allegedly, the original Avril Lavigne passed away or something happened to her, and they replaced her with a clone. And another celebrity that comes to mind that I hear a lot about is Kanye West. Fans have pointed out his shift in behavior and even changes in his speech, his appearance, and his personality. I don't know, of course this is all alleged, it's all a theory, but have you noticed any changes in your favorite celebrities lately?
Cloning centers sound terrifying.
Did you know that it is possible that we are living in the year 1728 instead of 2025? Now, this is a very interesting theory called the phantom time hypothesis, where it suggests that 300 years of history never actually took place. In the 1990s, a German historian named Herbert Illig came up with this theory, suggesting that the Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II altered the calendar to be the year 1000, purely because it sounded more significant. This would be like a coffee shop opening up last year and changing its sign to say, serving coffee since 1967 versus serving coffee since yesterday. It just sounds better. Anyways, let's look at the evidence. Up until the year 614, the Roman Empire was still around, and we have tons of records of war, leaders, daily life. They built major cities, aqueducts, and advanced technology, like inventing concrete, road networks, even paper. And then, after the year 911, we have lots of books and documents around medieval Europe. People were inventing mechanical clocks, windmills, better farming tools. But between those years, there's almost nothing. No big advancements, no major discoveries, virtually no change in population, very few written records. This is why this time is often referred to as the Dark Ages, because we literally don't know too much of what actually took place. So did just nothing happen for 300 years? Well, let's look at architecture. In the 600s, the Byzantine architecture was very popular. It had these big domed roofs, golden mosaics, and highly decorated interiors. Now, if you look at the Romanesque architecture, which was popular in the 900s, they have a relatively similar build. Large fortress-like buildings with thick walls and stone carvings. If 300 years did pass by, wouldn't we see a bigger difference in architecture? Suggesting that buildings like these were actually built closer together and not 300 years apart. Back in those years, the calendar wasn't as solidified as it is today. In fact, they had 7 major calendars being used at the time, all of which would track time differently. So it is very possible that time was added or removed in this time frame. It happened, and more than once. So that is the bulk of the theory as to why we could actually be in 1728 and not 2025. Come back tomorrow where I share research on the other side of things, where those 300 years went and what actually took place in them.
3 centuries. Completely made up.
Okay, so hold up. Now you're telling me not only do we have plasmoids in the sky and drones searching for the plasmoids, but now we have a vortex under the ocean where another civilization has been living for generations? I feel like every day I wake up to something new and something crazy, but at the same time, something that I believe because I believed it in my core being for my entire life. But these creatures apparently were discovered. An investigation under the water happened, and they found this civilization that's been there for decades. At what point are we going to get photographs and like HD video of all of this? Because I can see it in my mind's eye, but I need to see it and I need physical proof of it. So have you guys heard of this civilization that's now under the water? I feel like I can't keep up with things.
Another mystery we can't explain yet.
So this is where they do salute here? Yeah. Do you ever wonder about what the houses of some of the most tyrannical dictators look like? Well, wonder no more, as we have just arrived at the most infamous of them all, Saddam's palace in Babylon. Oh my word. Wow.
The beginning of the civilization.
Wow. Because of the amount of palaces he had, I think he had about 300 palaces. A lot of people say he only came once during construction. They always had to prepare the food, breakfast, lunch and dinner. Guessing this is where Saddam would have had his pool parties. There's a swimming pool, DJ up in the balcony, maybe, I don't know, a bar over there in the corner. When he gained control of the country, he had anyone in the government who he felt to be disloyal executed. They were taken outside and shot.
Palaces can't bury dark histories.
These are the creepiest urban legends you've never heard of. The Bunny Man, Virginia. A figure in a ragged bunny costume was seen wielding an axe near a secluded bridge. Locals say he appears late at night, chasing trespassers from the area. The Grinning Man, New Jersey. A tall, eerily smiling man in a shiny suit was reported near UFO sightings in the 1960s. Witnesses say his expression never changed, just that of an unsettling grin. Charlie No Face, Pennsylvania. Rumors told of a glowing ghost with no face who roamed the roads. In truth, he was a real man disfigured by an accident who became the subject of legend.
Sometimes the legend is real.
I've had this video for a while, but I've been scared to post it because what they might do to me. I usually post at least once a month, so if I don't see, or if you don't see any posts from me, you know that they got to me. But I was at the museum and I saw this, where this Egyptian artifact where everything that we're meant to see is all properly intact, and any details that we're not meant to see was chiseled off. Now, if you notice, any regular human being, birds, boats, things like that, all properly intact and in perfectly good condition, the regular human being right there. Now, if you look beside it, there's a much larger being. You can see the feet, the legs, and the body. Everything was chiseled off, and you can see the head is like a lizard shape or crocodile shape or whatever, and any details about it was chiseled off. So they're hiding our history from us. I don't know who they are, but if I'm onto something, they might come after me. So if you know any detail about this, maybe you can comment or stitch this video and explain. But as you can see, clearly everything that we're meant to see was properly intact, and anything that we're not meant to see, we're all chiseled off by I don't know who. Any details about it, like you can see the regular things, all there. But the other stuff that we're not meant to see, we're all chiseled off.
Now look at this closely.
Stop tweaking about life for a second and look at this image. You are literally a single cell that is wearing armor and grew a lot. Your whole brain, your spinal column, is this, but bigger. You added some meat. And we walk around our whole lives thinking that we are the meat. This stuff, it's all temporary. It's all rented. Our payment is time. So more than anything, this is a call for people to stop reducing God to a single book. Because you think the infinite is gonna just be in a single book. Yes, it can tell you about that, but you can't even think about what the infinite is. We can't even think about what we are. And when you figure out what you are, you will figure out what God is.
You will blow into this mouthpiece for 3 seconds. Do you understand?
I bet you like that.
Nice. Try that again. What is this? One more time.
What number do you want?
What?
What do you want? 1.6? 5.
Stay right there. Lady, back up. And when I say go, I want you to walk in a straight line towards me, all right?
Ralphie.
What's going on?
This chick's supposed to be dead.
What does that mean?
I don't think the system says she died 3 years ago.
Guys,
Drunk driving.
I'm gonna go.
I don't know.
What the?
Stop! Stop! You know what? You are under arrest.
I'm
Shit, lady.
Are your body cams on?
Yes.
God! I know the government, I know the president, I know the social service.
Turn around and put your hands behind your back.
I know it's It's not your guys' fault. I'm
Stop
going
resisting.
through like a lot right now, and I'm on my period, and it's like I'm being sheltered.
You're under arrest.
No, I don't want to have to, guys. I do not want to have to do you guys. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm bugging.
Holy
you.
shit!
I'm
Stop!
bugging
Stop!
you.
Stop!
I told you I didn't want to do that.
Lady!
I have to go.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, my God! Stop! Hey!
She's supposed to be dead.
So we all know the Pope just opened one of the holy doors, aka portals. But I'm not gonna lie, y'all, when I just watched the video, I swear I'm not tripping. I heard a little baby voice or a kid voice say, "Help me," when them doors open. Y'all gotta listen, bro. I know I'm not tripping. In general, just for him opening up these doors, I don't see why people not tripping in the first place. But look, y'all take a listen and tell me if I'm tripping. Make sure y'all listening. Am I tripping? Or I heard what I heard? And y'all let me know if I'm tripping on this too. But when he was getting rolled in that door, he looked hella nervous.
Bro, this feels like a portal.
He was just sleeping one night when he captures this. User Some Demon uploaded a nightmarish video that will certainly keep you up at night. Before going to bed, he placed the camera to see if he's been sleepwalking. But what he ends up capturing is way worse than sleepwalking. The man begins to twitch, and as he touches his face, he sits up and looks straight at the camera, as if he's being possessed. Sources say he had no recollection of ever waking up in the middle of the night, let alone doing this. Although it's something to keep you up at night, but without any official statement, we'll never really know what's going on.
Something evil is in that room.
This footage right here literally is the reason I never ever want to leave my house again. Me and my husband don't really get out much together, so we hired a babysitter and went out to dinner. And my phone had an alert, and this is what we saw on the doorbell. We called our babysitter and told her to go into the master bedroom and lock herself in the bathroom. Told her basically nothing's wrong, just a precaution. And we left the restaurant and came right home. But on the way home, of course, I'm watching this. God, I don't know what was said. The whole video recorded as white noise. But clearly she has something in her hands and it looks like a baby. And there's a storm outside. I don't know what her intentions were until we saw what she did at the end. But before that, she's just staring up into the sky. There was no rain. It was just thunder and lightning, constant. I had the babysitter on speakerphone on the way home while I'm watching this happen. We tried to reassure her and let her know that the police are on their way. It won't be too long. What I saw next made my heart drop. The thing we can see her holding here that looks like a baby was a doll.
She wasn't seeking shelter.
Ahí toca, mira. No, aburre. Tiene una mano arrastrando ahí. Está loco, está. No se dio ni cuenta de la imagen.
Someone doesn't care about her.
Imagine you're me scrolling on your For You page in the middle of the night and you see this. Now, this is a doll. Let's get that out of the way first. And this woman married this doll. There you go. There's a picture of them at their wedding. And she has like an entire family of like zombie dolls. But is this not so, like, unnerving? And also, is that not, like, a child zombie doll? I understand this is not what my, like, page normally is about. Like, it's usually, like, crime and, like, hauntings and stuff like that. But, like, this is freaking me out.
When romance crosses into pure horror.
Dashboard video shows the moment an Uber driver was shot at while picking up a woman in Chicago.
Go, go, go. You finna shoot up the car.
Shoot up the car?
Yeah, go.
What the What is that?
Yeah, this video is now going viral on social media. This poor driver, he says the woman contacted police while he pulled over not too far from the scene, but then more gunshots were fired. He says he felt unsafe and told her he couldn't wait for police any longer. They changed their destination and the woman was dropped off at a nearby relative's house. Still not clear what led to the shooting, but it happened in one of Chicago's most violent neighborhoods.
It was May 28th in Buba, Montenegro. 19-year-old Serbian model and influencer Tijana was on vacation, spending the day at the beach with friends when a stranger approached her. He worked for a parasailing company and he offered Tijana a free ride in exchange for filming it to help promote the business. She agreed, no hesitation, no fear. She even smiled and waved at her friends as they strapped her into the harness. But minutes later, something went horribly wrong. Once she was in the air, Tijana began tugging at her life jacket, then her harness. Her friends then heard her screaming, "Put me down, help me, get me down." She was nearly 160 feet in the air when suddenly she did something no one expected. In a moment of pure panic, Tijana unbuckled her harness mid-air and fell straight into the sea. Emergency responders pulled her from the water, but it was too late. The parasailing company claimed she had a panic attack and that they weren't responsible. When I heard the story, I was confused. Like, why would she do that? Why? Like, what was she thinking? Do you guys really think she had a panic attack?
In Mexico, there's a number you should never call because it might just call you back. They call it el número maldito, the cursed phone number. Nobody knows who owns it, but they say that if you call the number and it calls you back, you're gonna hear whispers on the other line. 555-0199. It's an urban legend here, and if you call past midnight, you're gonna hear something so scary. Some say that it tells you your future, and others say that it whispers your name or says something no one else is supposed to know. Or sometimes it says, "I found you." It might ring once, it might ring twice, again and again until you answer. But sometimes the number tries to fool you. It appears as your own number or a number from a relative. There are many stories of people calling this number and they hear dead relatives or missing people trying to be found. No one is able to track this number, which is the scary part. So if you find yourself all alone past midnight, be careful. Once the phone rings, it will never stop ringing.
After being strapped to hundreds of helium-filled balloons, Father DeCarli, wearing a flight suit, helmet, GPS device, and radio, lifted off from the coastal city of Paranormal, Brazil. Smiling and waving at the crowd below, the beloved Catholic priest ascended towards the heavens on what he hoped would be a powerful gesture of faith and a creative way to raise funds for a roadside chapel serving truckers. But as he floated higher, the winds turned against him. Strong gusts blew him off course, carrying him far from shore and over the open Atlantic Ocean. Though he stayed in radio contact for a while, his messages grew panicked. He was cold, disoriented, and struggling to operate his GPS. Then, the line went dead. Massive search and rescue efforts were launched. Helicopters, boats, divers, and even satellite tracking were used in an attempt to find him. Weeks passed, nothing. Then, on July 4th, nearly 11 weeks after he vanished into the clouds, a grisly discovery was made. A group of rescue workers spotted something unusual floating near the coast of Bahia. It was the lower half of a human body, badly decomposed, still partially clothed in remnants of a flight suit. DNA tests would later confirm what many had feared. It was Father DeCarli. The upper portion of his body was never recovered. Many believe he was eaten by sharks or some other predator lurking below the ocean's surface.
Unbelievably dark and tragic.
This scared the absolute hell out of me. This past Friday, Michelle and I got together to film an episode of Eerie Escape. I didn't end up getting over to her house until like 9:45 to 10 o'clock at night, so it was pretty late. So my husband helps me get all my stuff, and we're walking out of the house to the car. I open up the driver's side door, and the thing is about my house, it is surrounded by woods, and so usually when we go outside at night, we hear like animals and stuff running through the woods. That's normal. When I opened my car door, I heard something come running towards us, but it sounded like a person full-blown sprinting. And literally at that moment, I got an image of a man running towards me. It scared me so bad that I threw my phone and was just about to literally start sobbing. I don't know what it was. It freaked me out so bad. So my husband like helps me get my phone and like gets me in the car, and he's like, "Are you okay? Like, are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Whatever." He didn't think anything of it. I get to Michelle's house. I'm there for probably about 10 minutes, and I am so upset still that I'm physically shaking because it has scared me that bad. I am not the type of person to get freaked out over things like that. It doesn't really scare me. But this particular thing, I don't know what it was, and I know for sure it was not an animal because there is a distinct sound difference between a person running in the woods and an animal. So basically, my question for you is, have you ever experienced something like this? Was it an adrenaline dump, or was it something else?
Would you survive this encounter? Like, share, subscribe, if you dare. This is Charlie Ghostlight, uncovering what most won't even whisper. Which clip shook you the most? Tell me in the comments. I'm watching. And remember, this is just the beginning.